Hello my friends from the interwebs, Survive with Knife here, and what do we have on the table here? Well, most of you will recognize this as the Spyderco Tenacious. Now, I am probably making probably the 1000th video on YouTube on this particular knife, so most of you have probably seen this knife before. But what you have probably not seen, ta-da! The Tenacious in OD green. Oh, that is beautiful. Now, I wasn't really ever planning on reviewing this knife simply for the fact that there's so many of them out there. But I've had the new OD green one for about a month now, and I decided I'd really just have to do a review on this knife. It really, when it comes to all the things that I like in a knife, this knife and the Ontario Rat 1 are the two knives, and the Spyderco Paramilitary 2 are maybe the three knives that incorporate most of the things that I love to see in a knife, and I'm going to go through them all. If it wasn't for one thing, and I'll be talking about that, I would give this knife a perfect score. Maybe an 11 out of 10. And we'll get to that. But for those of you that have not seen the Spyderco Tenacious before, let's go through the review. Let's start off with the handle scales. Both the black and the green version here are G10 handle scales. I would say probably medium to light traction. It's not as grippy as some G10 that I have. It's not going to tear up your pocket, but it's definitely adequate, and I have really no complaints about the G10 at all. So whether it's the black or the green, both of these are G10 scales. Just look at that. The next thing is the liners. There is stainless steel liners in here, and if you guys can see that, actually maybe I'll grab my 4.7s here, throw a little bit of light on there. If you can see there that it is milled out, and that is one thing that I think every knife should have, because a lot of that, if you don't mill it out, it's just unnecessary weight. Removing that is not going to reduce the strength of the knife, and it will reduce the weight of the knife. While weight is not a huge factor for me, as it is for some people, it definitely is. If you can reduce the weight in some way, I would definitely recommend it. The locking mechanism is a liner lock. You can see it right there. Absolute perfection. The locking mechanism, the lock bar actually travels. What I like to see in a liner lock is that it travels past the side of the blade, to get the most contact onto the blade. And this does it very well. It locks up very solid. There is no wiggle in any direction for neither one of my Tenacious, either the green or the black one. The pocket clip, once again, absolute perfection. All four corners. Once again, knife makers, take note. There are lefties out there. There are people that like to carry the knife exactly the way they want to carry it, me being one of them. And there's a lot of knives out there that I would love to have, but I simply don't buy them because I won't carry them, because I can't carry them the way that I like to carry them. As you see, my preferred method of carry is tip down left side. The handle spine, once again, perfection. I wish every knife did this. If you notice there's spacers or posts. Allows you to easily blow out the knife to clean it out. You don't have to take it apart to clean it out. I love that flow-through design. I think every pocket knife, if at all possible, should incorporate that particular design. So once again, perfection. Jimping. Couldn't ask for better jimping. You have some jimping right here on the thumb ramp on the blade, also down here in the finger choil. On the liner itself, you have a little bit of jimping also. For me, that's perfection. The next part is the only knock that I have on the knife, and that is the blade steel. This is HCR13 MOV. While it is a good steel, it does hold the edge well and is easy to sharpen. Down here in Florida with our high humidity, I do have to take care of these blades. I have to, usually when I'm not using them, I keep a light coat of REM oil over the blade, because you will get a little bit of rust. And I don't experience that with my other knife steels like S30V, VG10, and even AUS8. AUS8 being a cheaper steel too, does not seem to have the rust and corrosion problem that HCR13 MOV has. Which, as we go through this review, you're going to see is the only knock that I have on this knife. And the only reason I cannot give it a perfect score is the blade steel. I think Spyderco, if they would come out with the Tenacious in S30V or VG10, I would be all over that knife. And I would say that that knife is absolute EDC perfection, with a little bit better steel. But you know, this is a Chinese-made knife, not a U.S.-made knife, and so you're going to get the HCR13 MOV steel. The factory edge was phenomenal on this knife. The older one that I have here has my edge on it, so I won't demonstrate that one. But the green one here does have the actual factory edge on, and as usual, Spyderco. I mean, that's just like butter. There is no effort there whatsoever. You can do this all day long. Smooth, perfect edge. And as usual, Spyderco gets that correct. Spyderco has always been, for me, a manufacturer that has always gotten, well, for the most part, their knives very sharp out of the box. And this is another example of that. The blade shape, kind of a leaf shape, typical of Spyderco, very wide. A full flat ground blade. Once again, absolute perfection. That is the optimal blade shape for slicing and strength. While a hollow ground blade will give you very good slicing, since the blade is a lot thinner, there is going to be reduced strength there if you have to use it more in a hard use situation. The tip there does come down to a nice tip, but I have not ever seen the Tenacious tip break, and it has not happened on me either. Haven't used it as a pry bar either, but that's why you carry a little pry bar on your keychain and never use your knife as a pry bar. But the knife and blade size, the blade length on the Tenacious is 3 3/8, which is really good for EDC purposes. It could be pushed into a tactical roll. While I do like larger blade lengths for tactical purposes, the 3 3/8, you know, if it did come pressed into that situation, you know, would do the job. But I would say that this knife here is definitely more EDC than tactical. Something that's maybe a little bit more tactical is the Tenacious's big brother, the Resilience, and that has a long blade, which will work better in a tactical type roll. The overall length of the knife is 7 3/4 inches. The closed length of the knife is 4 7/16. The knife weight is 4 ounces, which is not extremely light, but it's not heavy either. And considering the fact that it has full liners, is a very strong knife, I would say that this knife here could definitely stand up to some pretty good abuse. And maybe I'll demonstrate that sometime when I take it out. Maybe I'll use it to notch, maybe take a little tree down, or to make kindling and things like that. I would have no reservations about using it at all. It's not an expensive knife, and I really think it'll stand up. Not really concerned about that. The blade deployment on this knife is very fast, as you could see earlier as I demonstrated. It just comes out extremely fast. You know, obviously not an assisted opening knife, but is very smooth and just snaps out very quickly. Actually, the pivot point on the green one here, I think, is not quite as tight as it is on the black one, and as a result, it comes out just a little bit faster. So I could adjust the black one here to loosen that just a little bit. Ergonomics, great, absolutely phenomenal. Feels very good in hand. Feels great in the reverse grip. Just a very comfortable knife to use for EDC purposes. Knife roll. Well, really, utility or EDC is the best function of this knife, but it could be pressed into all of these, I believe. It's tough enough to do survival tasks. Does have at least a 3 3/8 inch blade, which, you know, could be used in a tactical self-defense role. You know, even though I would rather have a little bit larger blade for that. Could be used, you know, as a hunting knife. You could process game with it. Big enough blade for that. Usually on a skinning and butchering type knife, you do not like a point like this. You more of a sheep's hoof. Works better for that particular purpose, but you could definitely use this to do fish, and you know, once again, if you have to, you could definitely use it as a hunting knife also. But its primary role is EDC and utility. Cool factor. I think most people would be impressed with this knife if you pull this out of your pocket. I think it looks awesome. I love that green lanyard on there with the OD green G10 scales. I think the knife looks beautiful. So it does have that coolness factor. You know, when I've brought this knife out, you know, if I'm with family or friends that aren't into knives like I am, you know, they think that knife looks pretty cool. Even the black one I've gotten comments on. So it does have the cool factor. Price, once again, phenomenal. Great value. It's a Chinese-made blade, so it's definitely, you know, it's in the $38 price range. I think that's what I paid for this one. I think I paid a little bit less for this one. I don't remember what I paid for the black one, but the green G10 one, I think I paid $38 or $39 for it. So great price. Really, none of you guys have any excuse to not have a Tenacious, and especially now that they have it in the phenomenal OD green, you definitely need to pick yourself one up. So okay, well, there you guys go. There's my review of the Spyderco Tenacious, adding it to the several thousand reviews on the Tenacious that are out there on the internet, even though you may not have seen the knife in the OD green. And if maybe that'll get you to go out and finally get this absolutely excellent EDC blade. There you guys go. Have a good day. Survive with Knife out.